I'm Heather Vale Goss for Performance Marketing Insider, and joining me today is Jason Graf, the CEO and co-founder of crowdfunding platform CrowdIt. Jason, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So, how did you get started in this whole crowdfunding business?
That's a great question. I was actually at home sitting on my couch watching Rock Center with Brian Williams, and they did a piece on a young man that had invented a watch band that you stick an iPod Nano into and turn your iPod Nano into a watch. He needed $15,000 and put a project on Kickstarter and raised almost $1 million.
Wow.
And I was hooked. Started researching and eventually launched our own portal.
Okay, so a lot of us have heard about the power of crowdfunding. There's a lot of independent movies that have been made with crowdfunding lately, and the media put a lot of spotlight on that. There's a lot of entrepreneurs using crowdfunding to get their inventions and their ideas and their projects going. But Kickstarter and Indiegogo are just two that are major players in the industry. Why did you feel the need for a new crowdfunding platform?
I think there was some limitations in the market when we were looking at the different portals out there. Certainly Kickstarter and Indiegogo being the 800-pound gorillas in the industry. But we wanted something that focused more on small business and something that really answered that question and filled the need of why small businesses in the U.S. fail over 50% of the time. And that really is due to experience, not capital. So if we could provide capital while at the same time providing that experience, we felt we had a really nice model to address those issues.
Okay, so how exactly do you provide experience whereas other crowdfunding platforms don't?
Well, what we did is we actually invented a third user for our site. So where on most sites you have just two users, the project owner that we call a dreamer, and then the contributor or the donor that we at CrowdIt call a believer. We invented a third user that we call a suit, and that suit is a business professional, a successful entrepreneur, a successful service provider, or industry professional that is there to lend experience, lend mentorship and counseling in all areas of business to our users so that they can gain that valuable insight and experience.
Okay, that's really interesting. I mean, mentorship is something that has been preached since Napoleon Hill and probably far past him. You know, this is something that entrepreneurs have heard for a long time. Find a mentor, follow success. If you're struggling, you ask somebody who knows what they're doing. It seems like a no-brainer. Why do you think, since crowdfunding platforms are geared to the beginning entrepreneur, why do you think none of them have done this before?
You know, that's a great question, and I really don't know that I can answer it. You know, we're seeing tremendous success in getting those two individuals together to collaborate, converse, and really learn from each other. So I don't know why we're not seeing more of it. I think eventually we will as the model grows, but I really just can't answer that.
Okay, so you've got dreamers, you've got believers, and you've got suits. How exactly do they work together and come together and make projects happen using CrowdIt?
Sure. So I think the first thing to address here is that 87% of all contributions industry-wide come from the project owner's direct network, meaning those believers are first and foremost your friends, your family, your current clients and colleagues. And if you can't get them to participate or to contribute and believe in you, you're never going to be able to get those people that you don't know. So that's first. That's how the believers and the dreamers interact. On our site, the dreamers can actually go out and search for a suit in specific industries to ask an industry-specific question, and our suits have the ability to direct message every user on our platform. So if you're approved on our platform as a suit, once you've made application and we've reviewed that, then we unlock the ability for you to be able to communicate with every person on our platform directly. Suits are the only ones that can make that direct connection. Dreamers can go in, ask a suit a question, or just ask a question in general and put it out, and the suits get a notification that that question is there, and then they can go and answer that.
Okay. What are the criteria to become a suit, an expert?
Sure. Well, we don't have any set criteria as far as hard and fast rules. We're looking for a willingness to want to mentor, offer advice, and help. But we're also looking at their resume and what their background is, in hopes of getting well qualified individuals. We're not looking really for hobbyists, but we're looking for some skill sets, success in business, experience in a certain trade or industry, designations such as CPAs or attorneys, accreditations, those sorts of things to be a suit.
Okay, so besides goodwill, what exactly does a suit get out of this relationship?
Well, it's our belief that, I love to use the example of LinkedIn. Everyone's on LinkedIn to show, to position themselves as an expert in their industry. But yet, very little business really takes place on LinkedIn. I view it as a really kind of a selfish site. You use it to build your resume, but you don't really get that much business off of it. It's great if you're interviewing, someone can look at your past history and so on and so forth, but or if they're vetting you before they actually call you. But on our site, we're hoping that, let's say you're going to manufacture that watch band, and you're not real sure about manufacturing practices, and if someone from the manufacturing industry is helping you and coaching you along while you're raising your money on what to expect when it's time to manufacture, we're hoping that when they gain access to that capital after a successful crowdfund raise and it's time to actually pull the trigger on manufacturing, that they're going to go back to that person that gave them advice and mentorship and utilize their services. So we think it will create hard and fast relationships, and actual business will get done. So, they have a very real chance of not only breaking into a $7 billion industry in crowdfunding, which opens up a whole new set of clients, and adding to their resume and building that rapport, but also gaining those individuals as clients in the end as well, and getting paid for their services.
Right. Okay. So you mentioned that the dreamer, who is the person that comes up with the idea, usually has to bring in friends and contacts and clients, people that they already know, to be the original believers, or the funders, the donors that are going to make sure that their project happens by giving money to it. It sounds like it's a perfect way for email marketers, performance marketers, internet marketers in general to raise capital, because they already have those types of relationships and they know how to get people to a specific location and take a specific action. Have you seen anything that supports or denies that?
No, you're absolutely right. So crowdfunding really boils down to a lesson in marketing. That's really what it is. And if you don't have the capability to reach out to your network and tap your network first, you're not going to find success in crowdfunding. If your network doesn't believe in you or doesn't like the incentives that you're offering enough to invest in you and make that contribution, then certainly the general public that doesn't know you isn't going to be willing to do that. So you're absolutely right. If you have a large network and you're effective at marketing, you're going to be much more successful than the next guy.
Okay, so somebody has an idea, they're a dreamer, they want to get it funded, they want to get it happening. What's the process once they have that light bulb moment, that idea? What's the process to bringing it to an actual campaign on CrowdIt?
Well, so the process for Crowd is quite simple, and what I'd like to point out first is just like starting a business. When you're entering into a crowdfunding campaign, you need to have a plan, just like you would need a business plan for starting a business. So you're trying to amass a large amount of capital in a very short period of time, 30 or 60 days typically. So first you want to plan and get your marketing strategy in place. The number one rule is to know where the first 30% of your capital or of your goal amount is coming from. If you can know where your first 30% of your goal amount is coming from, and you can get that contributed to your project in the first 5 days, you're about 94% more likely to hit goal. But to get the project on, it's really simple. You just go to crowdit.com, you log in, you hit create a dream, and it will walk you through about an 8-step process where you're going to pick your goal amount, you're going to pick how many days you want it to go for, you're going to put in your pitch that really explains what your dream is all about, your pictures, your videos, and just walk you through about an 8-step process. You'll hit submit. We will review that for certainly legal, moral, and ethical reasons to make sure that it fits our platform. And as soon as it does, we email you, notify you that we're going to submit your project to go live on the site. It will go live to our suits for 48 hours first. We give them an opportunity to see those projects before they go public, and at the end of that 48 hours, your project goes live.